Hello, good evening everyone. Welcome back. As I said in my last video, today we'll continue with the anxiety disorders. As the title suggests, yes, today we'll talk about phobias. Phobia in common language is used to denote any simple fear, loosely. However, in the psychiatric and psychological terminology, phobia means an irrational and excessive fear of an object, place, or situation which is not currently dangerous. In this situation, the person experiences anxiety which is similar to any other anxiety. So there is a physical component of palpitation, breathlessness, dizziness, etc. and there is a psychological component which is like tension, worry, fears. There are associated fears of dying, sometimes fear of going mad, fear of falling, etc. Often the person thinks that the primary concern are the symptoms that they are experiencing. However, as a result, what happens is the person often avoids those situations. If he or she cannot avoid, then he or she will endure it with a dread. This may lead to socio-occupational difficulty, social isolation, otherwise changes in the life. In fact, mere contemplation of entering into that situation can cause distress and anxiety in that person, which we call as anticipatory anxiety. All anxieties, whether anticipatory anxiety or the situation, the phobic anxiety, may vary from person to person. It can be mild unease in some people, it can be panic attacks in some people. Even the knowledge that these situations are not commonly perceived as dangerous by most of the other people does not help that person who is suffering from phobia. He or she is still anxious in those situations, knowing everything. What are the phobias? First, we'll talk about agoraphobia. Agoraphobia classically meant fear of open spaces. But the current concept is that agoraphobia is fear, irrational and excessive, of any situation from which the person perceives that escape will be difficult or impossible. So, the person can experience all those anxiety symptoms along with some fears like fear of collapsing, fear of being helpless in the public. The person avoids those situations and there is anticipatory anxiety till the time the person at least is not relieved of getting exposed to that situation, or till the time he or she will be exposed to that situation. For example, places can be, the classical examples are traveling alone, traveling away from home, crowded places like markets, open spaces. Coming to the next type, the social phobias. Here, the fear centers around being scrutinized by other people in social situations. May not be as large places, large gatherings as in agoraphobia, but even in small social groups. It can be very specific to a situation like eating in public, speaking in public, as we know in performance anxiety. Or it can be more diffuse. That is, it happens in any social situation beyond the close own family circle or friend circle. As a result, the person often avoids it, the person may not socialize at all and becomes housebound or completely isolated. Now, the anticipatory anxiety can be like, say, if I have performance anxiety and if I know that I have to perform in the stage, anything, I'll keep on having anxiety symptoms. I'll keep on having fear. What if I cannot do it? What if I am having some difficulty while speaking? What if I am not able to speak what I intended to? And what if I come across as stupid by other people? These continue till the time my performance. As a result, I might just cancel going there. I might just not turn up. Or I might go there and at that situation, during the performance, I may have so much of phobic anxiety that I may not perform as well. May not perform as per my preparation, as per my knowledge. Coming to the third type, these are specific phobias. Now, specific phobias, in them, the repertoire is much narrower. It happens only is in response to some specific object or situation. not larger ones like in agoraphobia or social phobia. The situations or the objects, examples can be animals, fear of animals like dogs, cats, etc., or fear of any blood injection injury. We remember that some people used to faint at the sight of blood, so this can be the problem. It can be to some environmental situation like thunder, lightning. Again, the person has anxiety symptoms. But in specific phobias, since the repertoire is so narrow, it may not be apparent to another person that I am having this phobia. If the situation can be easily avoided, I may be able to successfully hide it from some other people. But though I am hiding it, I'll definitely know what I am doing or not doing, what I am experiencing and what I am avoiding because of the fear or anxiety associated with it. That also is a compromise in our lives, whether or not it is apparent to others. In the social phobia, in the agoraphobia, or in the specific phobia, there can be multiple other symptoms also, like blushing, tremulousness. Sometimes people also complain of fear of vomiting, which is more apparent in the social situations. These usually start in the adolescence or young adulthood, but some types of specific phobia can start in childhood also, and usually they remain constant all throughout their life if not taken care of. So how do we know that we have a problem? We just have to remember the core features. 1. Anxiety symptoms in a particular situation repeatedly, physical symptoms as well as psychological symptoms. 2. Avoidance of the situation at all costs. For example, in the specific phobias, there are multiple types of specific phobias like claustrophobia, that is fear of closed spaces, or acrophobia, that is fear from height. Say in claustrophobia, I am scared of getting inside a lift because it's a closed space, or I am scared of taking a bath inside a closed bathroom. So I may take the effort of climbing the stairs to the 10th floor just because of the fear associated with getting inside the lift. That is a compromise. In case of the other example that I was talking about, some people have so much of fear inside the closed bathroom that they may take a bath while keeping the door open, which is not a normal reaction or not a normal behavior, not a regular behavior, as like everybody else does. Third point, anticipatory anxiety or apprehension, which continues till the exposure or removal of the exposure. So if we have any palpitation, any dizziness, or any fear of losing ourselves maybe repeatedly, episodically, what should we do? Firstly, we should try to assess which situations or objects are precipitating it, where we are experiencing it repeatedly. Once we are done with that, and we can find very discrete situations like in specific phobia, or may find it in larger situations like in agoraphobia or social phobia. Once we have discerned them, we need to take professional help. Why? Yes, in some phobias are situational, and in some phobias the other person may not even understand that I am having it. But it's important because the biology of phobia is the same as the biology of anxiety. So what happens is that in an apparently threatless situation, which is so commonplace, which is so encountered on a day-to-day basis, our brain circuits, which are controlling the anxiety and everything, they get unduly excited and disturbed. So if they are getting disturbed and excited in such a situation, they'll exhaust themselves soon enough and probably will not be able to act when they're actually needed. So the cycle of this dysregulation leading to symptoms, leading to chronic dysregulation, leading to again symptoms will continue. And as we all know that any anxiety symptoms can lead to a lot of grave consequences. So it is important that once we have understood that there is such a problem or there may be such a problem, we should seek professional help. there are valid evidenced treatments for phobias also. Therapies, that is psychological therapies, are mainstay of the treatment. But sometimes the person may be so severely anxious that he or she is not capable of receiving the treatment or being engaged into the therapy. In that case, we often give medicines. After the person is calm and composed and is receptive for the therapy is started. But whether or not initially medicine is needed, both should be continued and should not be prematurely terminated without supervision. To conclude, if we have a situational anxiety or fear which is unnecessary and we can definitely do without, then we should seek help and try to do without it. Thank you. If you like it, please subscribe to my channel and share this video, and please post on the comment section if you want to hear about some other illness that you are interested in. Thank you again.